Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. Dad jeans. Dad jeans.
Put on your dad jeans, don't put on your mom jeans, because it's dad jeans.
And we throw a verse in about the pockets being set to the side in a horrible way.
Okay.
And there also being some discoloration around the bottom of the butt cheeks on the inside.
And some kind of weird scrunch in the middle. No matter how tight you belt it, it just gets scrunchier. Dad jeans!
For years, completely uncurious and detached from my own body, I bought jeans that were far too big for me and cinched them with a belt.
Wow.
And disqualified myself from life.
Was that a particular fashion choice, or did that just happen?
It was a particular fashion choice in so much as I was unconscious about what my body was shaped like.
Okay. Well, you have do you have a normal size body? Do you have trouble finding things that fit?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes, to some extent. Do you?
I do, because I have women's hips.
You do you really?
Yes, I have very womanly hips.
Really?
I bought a pair of women's jeans once that was the best at a thrift store. I didn't realize they were women's jeans at the time, but when I brought them home, it turned out that they were the best fitting pair of jeans I ever owned.
They hug you in all the right places?
They did, yeah.
Did they provide enough crotch depth?
No, they didn't. That was a little bit of the issue.
They don't account for that.
No.
The change purse.
No. They weren't transsexual jeans. They were full-on women's jeans. But I feel like when I gain weight, I gain weight in the places that women gain weight. I gain weight in my ass and my boobs.
We've got to use this to our advantage somehow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could pimp me out somehow. I could dance for people. Do we feel like I feel like we should announce ourselves? That's a good.
Oh, sure. Welcome.
That's what I call the casual segue into the conversation.
Absolutely. They're joining us in medias res.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead.
Welcome everyone to Dad Jeans, the podcast of, by, for, and about dadding in the United States.
The art of fathering.
The art of fathering in the infant century, number 21.
Oh.
Brought to you by two men who have relatively young children and are sorting out what has happened to their lives.
Yes, that's right. And let me say, Brendan, here's something I've been thinking about this week, is that we're at such very different stages of fathering in that your son is not yet old enough to be an asshole.
That's true.
Whoa, did some gigantic insect just fly in here?
Into our very expensive studio?
Oh, yeah, into our very beautiful studio. There seems to be some kind of a giant wasp-like, or not wasp-like, he's like
it's more of a bat.
I think there's a bat on that bike.
That's our guest.
But, okay, sorry, that's a segue. We should ignore that insect, even though I'm going to be having heart palpitations for the entire podcast.
I think this is good luck, and it bodes well for our venture.
Jeez, as long as it doesn't fly at me, we'll be okay.
I'll protect you.
Thank you. But it is a very different thing that you get to when you... Like, I thought I had the art of being a dad. I thought I had it under control. I thought it was like a piece of cake. I was like, oh, this is easy. And then she got to the toddler stage, and no matter what you do to prepare yourself for that, no matter how much you think your child is going to cruise through it, it does not happen.
It's difficult for everybody.
It is very difficult, and you are dealing with a person who is an asshole probably 3/4 of the time for several years.
Wow.
Yeah.
The math on that makes it... so what, in terms of the quid pro quo, I'm going to parent you, and you're going to get a lot from me in terms of, equipment for living.
Sure.
And you're just going to be a dick.
Yeah.
And what do I get?
Yeah, nothing. You get the harsh glove of reality slapped across your face several times a day.
Oh, damn it. So this is terrifying.
Well, I mean, she's lovely, of course. I love her, and she's wonderful. But it's just, you're dealing with a person who does not, I mean, they don't develop the logic center of their brains until they're 7 years old.
Ah, yes. The Catholics figured this out first.
Really?
And named it the Age of Reason. The Vatican.
The Age of Reason. I thought that was like an era of human history.
It is in every human when they turn 7.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised that the Catholics didn't just make them adults at that point.
I know.
I would think the priests would have liked that. It would have worked to their advantage.
Some have.
Yeah, exactly.
Made them adults
He's
at
entered
that
the
point.
Age of Reason. We may begin.
Oh, it's so chilling.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so chilling.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Sorry. Go on.
Well, I'm sitting across from Jeffrey Dinsmore. Jeffrey Dinsmore of Los
That's
Angeles,
me.
California.
That's right.
Hails from Michigan.
Yes.
And I am Brendan Hughes, and we are your hosts.
For Dad Jeans.
For Dad Jeans. Dad Jeans. So named by Jeffrey Dinsmore, the brilliantly named podcast, as it
thank you.
encapsulates so much about what befalls a man.
As we drink in my garage, surrounded by hideous flying creatures.
Fauna
Fauna.
of Atwater Village.
Ugh. Ugh.
All right, so we've got a lot to cover. First, I think the most important thing is we get into a calibration phase and look at what the moms are saying around the internet.
I love it.
The internet is replete, shall we say, with mommy blogs.
Okay.
And they're all called things like scripture and penicillin
Eee.
and things like that. And it's just a place where moms can take to the net
Yeah.
in order to cajort, and cajander their fellow mothers.
Right.
And in doing a little bit of research, just so we can know the zeitgeist of parenthood that we're entering into, I found what you might call a garden variety mommy blog post. And the title of this post is "My Husband Doesn't Need to See Your Boobs."
Oh.
And
It's already controversial.
it's pretty interesting. This is a woman who opens the story talking about how her father would never let her dress in anything that approached saucy when she was in high school.
Okay.
Except for one time when she spirited a low-cut number in the trunk of the car to high school, got it in, changed into it, and enjoyed the catcalls of the goings on.
Is this are these her words, or are you
These are I'm
paraphrasing?
paraphrasing.
Okay. Did she spirit the dress though?
I think so. I
Please
skimmed
tell me
it.
she spirited.
I think I'm pretty sure she spirited it
Okay.
under some other item, or perhaps in a parcel.
Okay. Yeah. She might have wrapped it up and taken it out at the appropriate moment.
Yeah, she had this fabric numero.
Okay.
Now so then she talks about looking through social media and seeing a lot of skin.
We're flashing forward, right?
We're flashing forward.
Okay.
Now she is a woman. She's got of a certain age. She's got 2 kids. She's got a husband.
Okay.
They're family together. And she talks about scrolling through on her phone your Instagrams, your Pinterests, your et ceteras, where the millennials will traipse and dance about
And show their boobs.
and if you're lucky, I'm tipping my hand here.
Okay.
So, and she says sort of self-effacingly, mostly I'm looking at your legs, asking myself, how are there seriously people without cellulite? And then I can continue to scroll through my feed until something else seems interesting. I doubt my husband is so lucky. Actually, I know it's next to impossible to take in images like those and erase them from his mind. Because our men are much less emotional and are much more visual. And as quickly as I can forget, it is filed away in his mind, ready to be pulled back out whenever he so chooses.
Wow.
Again, I'm not faulting you, and by no means am I faulting him.
No, that's just his nature. He's a dumb animal.
This man of mine diverts his eyes from whatever questionable images flash on the screen before him. But sometimes the temptation is too much.
Oh, God. And then what happens?
After Memorial Day, I noticed so much skin on social media that I half yelled a warning to him as I ran out the door one morning. It's summertime, honey. Beware the beach pics and half-nude girls on Instagram.
Ooh.
And like that, he was in solitary confinement from all virtual media for the next 2 days, protecting his eyes, protecting his heart.
Whoa. I have a lot of questions. Are we at the end of this article?
We're at the end of the excerpt I've chosen to read.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, what happened when after she spirited away the outfit? I'm dying to know. She just enjoyed some catcalls. And
Yes, and then
Did she
concludes
learn
that
from that?
segment. She then apologizes to her father
Okay.
in the present day.
Oh,
Daddy,
because he was right.
I'm sorry, you were right for being
Right.
so conservative.
Okay, that's good. So she has learned that that was when she, I think, probably initially developed a taste probably for men who have no ability to act like gentlemen. I'm guessing that day really resonated in her mind.
It seemed to.
She could not get that image out of her head, much as she is accusing her husband of not being able to do.
And the question that I have then
Yeah.
is, does her husband,
There was so much Freudianism happening in that, in what you just
It's
said.
incredible.
Okay.
Does her husband truly? I mean, I can imagine him making a major show of it, being like, "Whoa!"
Right.
when he goes right by.
Better not look at those.
Oh, that's not intended for me.
Well, how? I mean, are these people like friends with a bunch of tweens? Like, what? How are they even looking at these things?
That's
Like,
a fantastic question.
like what is like? Who are these people's feeds that they're perusing all this time?
Right? Is it nieces and nephews?
Yeah.
Was he some sort of? Did he run a boys and girls club? And these are some alumni.
Right.
How does it, I mean, how wholesome versus how not wholesome? The spectrum are we dealing
Right.
with?
And she's aware that he could easily like click over to another tab and look at full on vaginal penetration, right?
One would presume.
Okay.
And she does leave him alone. I mean, in that very scene she described, she was leaving the house.
Well, she trusts him, clearly.
And pictures in her mind him dutifully snapping shut the iPad.
Of course.
Opening some scripture. And then going to the bathroom to enjoy it while having a number two.
Can I ask, is this a religious person?
She alludes to God at certain points.
Okay. Well, if you're pulling up a random blog post and she is alluding to God, then I can guess that there's more than alluding happening elsewhere on that blog.
Perhaps.
in one little blog post, that's the only one she ever mentions her religion, I'm sure.
So the control that she exerts over her husband and his urges, and the threat from those urges that she feels,
that's the thing,
is fascinating. She seems to have accepted the fact that men are visually based animals. And indeed, there's that thing about testosterone on This American Life where a woman who's going through a sex change to become a man had like triple the dose of testosterone in his system as he became a man. And when that was the case, became a truly like unhinged animal.
Wow.
With sexual rage and just pictured sexual violence all the time.
Yeah.
And reported having been a woman and just wanting to ask, what are you reading to somebody they like on the subway, and then picturing going to dinner together. And then when they had triple the testosterone of any man, wanted to literally fuck them in half until they were dead.
Wow.
And so
I mean, that's kind of that's going through my head most of the time. Are we different on this?
No.
I
think that's a baseline we can start at. And so
fucking people in half. It's a good baseline.
And so she, on the one hand, accepts the fact that in her world, men are unhinged sexual animals that need to be tamed.
Sure.
But on the other hand, has so much confidence in her ability to do that taming that she feels bad for her unhinged on the inside, completely tamed on the outside husband.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is definitely a woman that. This is definitely a woman who would not. Who would probably control the remote control. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some. That wasn't funny. I was trying to think of some like. What is this woman? What would this woman do in her daily life that would be completely emasculating at all times to her partner?
Shave him for him.
Okay, that's kind of sweet, actually.
Oh yeah, I guess it is.
I wouldn't mind getting a nice shave from my wife.
Now that you mention it, I wouldn't mind getting one either.
It's a very it feels like a very limited view of human nature and our ability to overcome our natural impulses, I guess.
Right.
And plus, it's just the idea is that like your husband should not be subjected to looking at your boobs, or your husband should not be subjected to looking at scantily clad people because he couldn't control himself. But if someone tells him not to do it, then he can control himself.
I think that's what it is. It's a combination of telling him not to do it,
Right.
and also telling all of them to stop posting these pictures.
Right, because of the temptation, because the fault lies with the rape victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and
why
not
did
with
you
the
wear
person
this
who
outfit?
possesses the urges.
Yeah. Well, I think this woman's a cunt. I don't. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to get too lewd or anything, but no, I'm sorry. That was terrible. That was literally the first time I've used the word cunt in probably 3 hours. Sorry. This is all right. We're editing this part out. Shall we move on?
Okay, certainly, yes.
Okay.
So
this is a problem when you try to be funny. See, I got to just like tone it down. Like,
Oh, right.
I'm not
We just
trying
have
to
a
be funny. We're
conversation.
just having a conversation.
Yep, exactly.
All right. I'm done.
Subtle.
No more humor.
You know, the Buddhists, in closing about that article, have a saying, you can't cover the world in leather,
Yes.
so cover your feet in leather.
What's the world? How's the world fit into that?
She's attempting to cover the world in leather so that her husband won't
I see.
the protruding rocks.
Sure, I gotcha. Well, that's kind of I feel like that's a very American mentality, though, right?
Cover the world in leather.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then there's also the fact that America is so sexually repressed
Yeah.
that she can't just... Everyone has sexual urges, and
Sure.
we just
Sure.
got to figure the whole thing out together.
Right, like to her, that's the enemy. The enemy is the sexual urge.
Yeah.
Like, and that needs to be quelled, and not like. I mean, I don't think she's saying like what is the. She's saying the danger is that her husband is going to have this picture in his head, and he's going to keep the picture in his head. Mm-hmm. Like it seems like that was her. That was her worst case scenario, is that her husband would see legs in a picture, and then later he would think, I saw legs in a picture.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like there was no, I don't think she was saying then he's going to go out and rape someone, as he does.
Right, exactly.
If I don't tell him, don't go out and rape tonight. Oh.
Gotta remember to remind. I forgot to remind him.
Yeah, I know. And then it's her fault.
Right.
So,
all right.
yes, moving on.
Moving on to our weekly segment, How We Failed as Fathers this week.
Oh, yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes,
we are both fathers.
we are indeed.
We both have children.
Yeah.
You have children. I have a children. Mm-hmm. And we fail them on a weekly basis.
Yes. Oh,
confident
weekly,
saying
hourly, please.
When I was in high school, and I'd like to find out how you failed your children this week. But
Yeah.
before you do,
Yeah.
before you tell us, when I was in high school, the object of the game as a student was be the person who wasn't failing the worst in class.
Okay.
Be the person who was failing the second worst.
Okay.
And so often, when when I'm doing something that is not necessarily enriching my child in any way, maybe even emotionally scarring him by accident, I think to myself, but think about all the horrible fathers out there. And I comfort myself that way. Rather than being like, I could be an amazing father, let's grab the brass ring, I keep a low bed of mediocrity just beneath my feet.
Right. Well, I think the important thing is that you are living by comparing yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Certainly.
That's a very healthy thing to be doing.
And the worst people I can picture.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not John Wayne Gacy. This has been a pretty good outing.
So, Jeffrey,
Yeah.
you had a week.
Yeah.
You had children
I did
during
have
that
a week.
week.
Yeah. Well, so okay, how did I fail them? I'm only able to fail one of them actually, because the first one is, or the second one is an infant. He's a 2-month-old.
Unfailable.
So he's unfailable.
Or infallible, as they would say in the Vatican.
Oh, that's good. That's true. I think. I could fail him by maybe throwing him up and like smashing his head on something, which I've done to my daughter when she was around that age.
Oof.
But he's kind of with his mom most of the time. He's just learning how to be a human. And we have a 3.5-year-old, so I'm kind of hanging with a 3.5-year-old most of the time.
And this would be because when you have two kids, you go from zone defense to man-to-man.
Yeah, that's right. I don't really know much about sports, but I would guess that what you're saying is right.
It is.
There's like fast breaks and then
Full court
double
press,
dribbles,
double dribbles,
a lot of double dribbles,
triple doubles.
Yeah, got some of those offsides.
Yep, low post moves.
Yeah, that's exactly the. Yeah, you got it. But so this week, my wife went out of town with the boy to Palm Springs. She had a friend in town. They went out to Palm Springs for the weekend, which in the heat of summer, Palm Springs, maybe not the wisest choice.
I did this a year ago. It was a crazy thing to do.
Was it excruciating?
In a good way.
Okay.
And a crazy way.
I would love to get into that. This is the problem with being on a tight sort of schedule, as we're attempting to do this week.
I can do it in one sentence.
Okay.
If you're in the desert in July, don't buy caramels.
Okay.
Off we go.
That's all I need to know. I don't want to know any more about that. I think that's.
Although I should mention it involves Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band, but that's another podcast.
As things do. Was this at Pappy and Harriet's by any chance?
No, 'twas at C's Candies. Candies.
Okay.
So she went to Palm
Casey's
Springs.
Candies?
Casey's Candies.
Casey's and the Sunshine Candies.
Yeah. Oh, and also the YMCA fellows were there.
What?
Village people.
No.
Mm-hmm. The Atwater Village people.
Oh, Jesus. I have to hear this story offline because I'm really intrigued. But so my wife went away. I had the daughter for 2 days. I guess we should. I mean, if we're going to be doing a podcast, we should say Hazel is the daughter, Eli is the son.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about our actual children.
Sure. And our wives, I bet.
And our wives, Sarah.
Emily.
And, I forget. Emily, that's your wife's
Emily
name?
is my wife's name.
Okay. She's lovely. Lovely
and
woman.
Oscar is my other wife.
Lovely.
Just kidding.
Oh. Your sister wife?
Sister.
Brother wife?
Oscar's my brother wife.
Yes.
Oscar would be my child.
Okay.
My 15
lovely
child.
Son. Don't know him much. Seems lovely.
Neither do I. He hasn't said a word yet.
Yeah. Oh, well. A little slow. But that's okay. We'll get past that. And if not, we'll have a lot more to talk about. So we went... I took Hazel to a farm with Sarah's sister lives out here, and she was alone for the weekend as well. So Sarah's sister and her kids and Hazel and I loaded up into the car, and we went to a farm. There's a place called Underwood Farms. It's about an hour northwest of here.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. It is a farm.
Wait, are you making this up?
No. This is my moment in parenting. I didn't. You know, it's like a touristy sort of farm. It's like the place that you go and you pick berries and whatnot. And
up by Bakersfield.
I'm not sure. I'm bad with California.
Did you go over the
geography.
grapevine?
Over the grapevine?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Anyway, go on.
Is that another sports reference?
Let's say yes.
Okay. We go to this farm, and Hazel is just in a rotten mood. Just not having a good time. She wanted to be carried the entire time, which, I mean, it was blazing hot, you know, and we're on this is giant plot of land, you know, it's like hundreds of acres of farmland. But it's also like it's set up, you know, like you walk in, there's a little market, and then you go into the farm area, and there's games, and there's a little train they can ride, and like, I mean, it's like a sort of what an 18th century family might consider Disneyland, you know. It's sort of that kind of, I mean, you know, no slaves or anything, but so maybe not you know, maybe later.
But like pumpkin carving and hay mazes and
yeah, one would do those things in the fall, which is a perfectly legitimate time to go visit a farm. But in the summer, there's not a lot. But there's berry picking. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Hazel was just like being in a crabby mood, and she wanted to go on the bounce house. That was the one thing she wanted to do.
Ye olde bounce house.
Yes, ye olde bounce house. And it costs $3 to go on the bounce house, which is a perfectly legitimate price for
a bargain,
a piece of equipment that they just set up there and fill with air. But I gave her, I did put the $3 in there right before she went in. Let me backtrack. She doesn't like people looking at her. This is a big thing with Hazel right now. She's 3.5.
I noticed when I walked in tonight.
Yeah, and you were with adults. She's a little bit more polite. She just hid her hands over her eyes, like what was the movie?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes,
and she does have eyeballs in her palms.
Yeah. She does. I mean, she was actually seeing you better. It was like that was her. She was using her telescopic vision on you. So so that means she likes you. And when her tongue came out really far and started waggling,
and wrapped around my neck.
Hissing, yeah. That means she likes you.
Oh, okay. Right.
She can't handle people looking at her sometimes. When I think it's like a symptom of anxiety or something. And she, like, if a little kid, this happens often, where like it happens every day at school, where we'll go in and some kid will look at her and she'll say, "Daddy, tell him he can't look at me," and she'll turn to him and say, "Don't look at me, kid." And it's like, and so like we went into the bounce house area, and when we went in, there was no one there, and so I was like, "Great, this is perfect. Hazel can be socially anxious and jump in the bounce house and have a good time." But then another couple of kids came up, and bigger kids tend to just like they're just all these like moosey big kids. I feel like every time I go to a playground, there's some like moosey big kid running around just knocking everyone over, like,
oh yeah,
whatever.
And kids larger than your child always look obscene.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. And I think also boys and second children, I'm just acutely sensitive to it because I know how shy Hazel is and how like anxious she is in situations like that, which is probably I'm probably anxious in situations like that, and then like I'm passing it on to her. It's all my fault somehow.
Natch.
I am showing her the Twitter feed with the half naked girls on it, expecting her to just control herself.
And I do have to actually ask you, when you sat her down to watch Blue Velvet, did she identify particularly with Dennis Hopper? Because that would explain this whole thing.
As a matter, Isabella Rossellini, which really creeped me out.
Wow.
Actually. No, for the record, I have not shown my daughter Blue Velvet yet. Although there's a cemetery screening coming up at Hollywood Forever, which we'll talk about that offline. No, she's too young, 4.5, 5 at least.
Oh, wait till she's 7.
Yes, exactly. Then her logic center can comprehend the magic that's happening on stage. So anyway, we get to this the bounce house, and some kid looks at her, and all of a sudden she doesn't want to go, and I've already spent my $3. And I'm like trying to. This particular bounce house had the doorway was set up so that there was like some sort of a flap that you had to like lift up physically with your hands. Like you couldn't just go into the bounce house. There was like another safety flap that was like had an elastic sort of tension to it. So you had to like push this tension thing up and shove the kid in. Well, the
reverse childbirth.
Yeah, exactly. The step up to that had been in the sun, and it was like blazing hot, and Hazel didn't want to stand on the step. So I was like holding her with one hand, and she's not a light child. I mean, she's 38 pounds. I was holding her with one hand and sort of like shoving her ass into this bounce house with the other hand, and she was screaming in frustration, "I don't want to go! Don't look at me, kid! No, don't put me in here! I don't want to go in the bounce house!" And finally, I sort of had to drag her out, and I tried to fish my $3 out of the little slot that I put the $3 in, and that was not working. But we didn't.
Were you taken to task by Carney when you did that?
No, there was no one around. I mean, this place
good.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could have been chucking her in there. No one would have noted. But so that was the first way that I failed my child. And then sort of the rest of the time, I was just irritated with her until we got to the berry picking, which it turns out. I mean, I have this theory. Dogs love to have a job.
They do. They're mission-based.
Exactly. Children love to have a job.
Also mission-based.
As soon as we got... Okay, I want to hear more about that. Because it seems like you have some sort of actual knowledge about this. This was just a theory that I thought I had developed on my own. But
also just a theory that I developed on my own.
Oh, okay.
But I named it mission-based.
I love it. Did you just name it mission-based? Or has it even...
I
conquering this
I
for a while.
watched a dog
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago at a party.
Oh,
I'm terrible at parties. I
love
just
that
want to
party.
watch animals.
okay.
I don't want to make
Social anxiety.
You get to a certain age,
Don't
Jeff.
look at me, dog.
Don't you fucking look at me, like Dennis Hopper.
Oh, yeah.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain age and you have friend buildup.
Uh-huh.
And in this town, the last thing you want to be asked is, "What do you do?" Or like, "Let's work on a project." I can't take those conversations anymore.
Yeah,
So
no
eventually
one
you're
ever
like,
asked me any of those questions.
no? Oh, you're going to the right parties.
No.
So eventually,
Yes.
you're like, you know what? I'm going to hang out with the animals or any people that don't speak English. Both.
Okay.
Those two things.
Or the children, as I have discovered since having a child, that a child, and perhaps this is why she's totally socially anxious, because I use her as an excuse to not hang out with anyone at parties.
Yes.
But sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Oh, it's delicious.
I'm going to open a beer.
Oh,
One
do.
second.
I think it's important for us.
All right, there we go. Keep
Oh,
going.
I did. Oh, by the way, Oscar, while he does not speak any words,
Yes.
does after he drinks because I taught him this, go like this, which is
Amazing.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Even if it's warm milk,
Ah,
the least refreshing substance on earth.
well, I think you're starting him out right.
It's like whole milk from the store and it's warm. So basically, he's drinking cheese. It gives me. I tried it once and I was like, this is vile.
You purposely give it to him warm, or this is something like it'll just sit out.
That's what they did in the movies. So we're like, I guess we're supposed to warm this
okay.
up.
Gotcha. All right.
I guess sometimes we give it to him cold. Sometimes we're like, fuck this,
Okay.
and we give it to him cold.
Oh, we're talking bottles. We're not talking like sippy cup milk.
Oh, right, bottles.
Okay. 16
exactly.
months?
15.
I forget when all that shit happens.
But I think it's supposed to be warm because it's supposed to be like the boob. This kid hasn't sucked a boob since he was 1 month old.
Yeah, I think you could ease him out of the warmth.
Yeah, we did the pump, and we could talk about that. I'm sure Emily would love it if I were full disclosure about our adventures in getting a latch.
Oh yeah. Oh god. It was a nightmare the first time around. This time not so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a nightmare for us to the point where we gave up and we bought a bunch of devices.
And you know what? You're not a failure.
Thank you.
Because you're the man and you had nothing to do with it. Your wife, however.
I know. And you know what? When I was let's see, 10th grade,
Yeah.
I developed something. I'm just going to name it. It's called
Osteoporosis?
gynecomastia.
Oh, Jesus.
Puffy areolas. That's all it is. It's a long word. What it means, some
You
of us
have
boys.
you have puffy areolas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Droopy pyramids.
Okay.
I mean, when I was a man of a certain weight.
Like they look like small penises, you mean?
Wait a second. Does your penis look like a pyramid?
A little bit.
Do you have a chode?
I do. No, I'm just picturing like a cartoon, like maybe a R. Crumb sort of like droopy little.
Oh yeah. Oh, so sad.
But I'm sorry, keep going.
No, well, I did. I never wear to this day. I never wear t-shirts by themselves because some boys get puffy areolas. Actually, for some guys, it's really bad. Some guys actually get BOOOOBS boobs,
Right.
and they have to have the actual breast reductions. Men get breast reductions, or sometimes a guy will get one boob.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
shit's fucked up.
Wait, but that's what you had or have? Is this a lifelong disease?
It's a lifelong. So you hit puberty.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be talking about this.
I'm glad that we are. It's about time I got to know this side of you.
You hit puberty.
Yeah.
And as a boy, and you're like 10, and I don't know if you're doing the math, you're like, wait a second, Brendan. You were 10 in sophomore year of high school? Yes.
Okay.
And
Very smart.
you get these little pebbles
Yeah.
inside your nipples, and they fucking kill.
Oh. So it's like kidney stones inside your nipples?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is, exactly.
Wow.
And then your areolas puff out, and then you have these like little domes, and it's really weird.
Does it just look like a puffy nipple?
Yep.
Oh. But it would be clear to any observer that there was something wrong with your breast.
Exactly.
Okay.
Where you look at it, and it's like this little tiny contact lens, and it's smooth and pink, and the skin stays super soft and smooth and gorgeously pink.
This sounds really hot.
looking back. And so my point being,
Yeah.
I probably could have breastfed this kid. And my nipples were wasted on a man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, what am I going to do, cry?
I mean, did you think you were growing breasts? You're entering puberty. This is happening to you.
It's super confusing. And here's what else.
Yeah.
I love those things.
You love them?
But I love them so much I started to grow them.
Wait, but they went away? Oh, you're saying you love boobs.
Yeah.
And that's what you've internalized that. Well, that's that's what was going to happen to this woman's husband.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
He's going to become a woman.
Afraid of.
That is what she's afraid of.
Yeah.
She believes in magic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. Well, or she knows about gynocomoca floca. What is, tell me again what it's called?
Gynecomastia.
Gynecomastia.
It's going to happen to my son. There's so many things.
How do you know?
Because
it's hereditary? Because your dad ripped his shirt open and said, "This happened to me."
Me too, son. He's wearing a bra.
Just like Teen Wolf.
Well, I wonder. So I think also if you're in a family tree full of like
gynecomastians.
Right, which was our house in Game of Thrones. The house gynecomastian.
Right.
Your family tree is full of amply, Zaftig people.
Yeah.
Amply bosomed.
Fat?
Sure.
Okay.
So if my son, if he comes from a family tree of like, if he had been a girl,
yeah,
he probably would have been heavy up top.
Right.
So like, it's like, and if you're a boy, you're still gonna get dinged a little bit with that stuff.
Wow.
I think that's what's going on.
I'm sorry that you've cursed your child.
That's okay. That's one of many ways.
Well, my son will have womanly hips, so there's that. They could maybe get together and have like a very, very sensitive sort of like modern male lifestyle.
Or they could have a postmodern clown act called Woman Top and Woman Bottom.
Oh, I love it.
That would be kind of great. Elijah and Oscar.
I think we need to. That's actually very nice. I think we need to. And it sounds like two clowns.
Doesn't it?
Elijah and Oscar. Yep.
Woman Top and Woman. Elijah Woman Bottom. And Oscar Woman Top.
That's their. Those are their Indian names.
Oh wow, this is amazing.
All right, I love it.
Excellent. Okay, so that's how we failed ourselves. Moving on.
Did you fail as a father this week? Should we?
Oh, in so many ways. Okay, here's the thing. I
feel like my story was a little. It fell a little flat.
Was a little perfect.
No, I don't think I worked it out.
I disagree.
Okay, I'm just being very critical.
As is your
want.
That sentence began on its way to the word want, but I meant to begin a different sentence.
Prerogative?
Yes!
Okay. I may be hypercritical.
Yeah, want.
Yes.
Mayhaps.
Okay.
Prerogative, absolutely.
Thank you, Bobby.
You are also allowed to compliment yourself.
Well, I definitely look good tonight.
You do?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm here to tell our listening audience. Jeff looks amazing.
In my fourth, I have 4 Los Campesinos t-shirts.
Really?
Yes. They're not my favorite band, but for some reason I have 4 t-shirts of theirs.
This brings us to our second segment.
Oh, fantastic.
Which Jeff has dubbed One Toe in the Cool.
Ah, yes.
And One in the Drool.
Oh, yes.
That's what I added.
I love it.
Because this is the ways in which Jeff and I were young like you once, millennials. We went to see rock bands perform. And we did plays. Not that that's cool. And
I didn't do plays.
Oh, God, you're
Sorry,
so
keep
smart.
going.
You're so smart.
I did in high school. Or whatever.
I know, me too, and I should have stopped.
Yeah.
The fuck. Anyway, but we were in bands, we went to shows, we drank in places, we woke up in strange beds, and we even moved to difficult cities.
We did.
And then we met wonderful ladies, and decided to settle down. But for a long time, we didn't think it was going to happen for us.
Nope.
And then it did. And it's coming for you, too. Stability is coming for you, young men.
Ah, yes, someday.
But back in the old days, we still had One Toe in the Cool. You'll wake up one day and you'll be like, I have a wife and a child. And usually when men have wife and children, they're fucking lame. And everyone looks right through them as they do at my work. I can tell all the younger kids who aren't married.
Yeah.
They literally look through me. Or if I'm walking down Sunset Junction and I have either the stroller or the kid in the various apparatus that you strap a child to your person.
Right.
you get to the front of the line at Intelligentsia, and they ask the person behind you what they'd like.
But if you are by yourself and you have your child, the women flock to you like magnets.
That is true.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
That is not true at all.
But sorry, no, you
get beamed at a lot.
That's true.
There's nothing a little more than being beamed at.
Yeah. No.
I pre-beam at others.
Amazing.
Assuming I'm getting the beam.
I had a daddy breakfast once with my friend Ryan Majestic, and I have never been approached by as many women as
incredible.
I did at that age when we both had babies.
Yes, because you are safe and have been neutralized.
Oh, I thought it was because I look good.
And you look so good with a baby accessory. Wait a second. You have a friend named Ryan Majestic?
Yeah. You don't know Ryan Majestic?
I believe I've met him at some of our man soirees.
Local magician.
Wait
not
a second.
Just a local magician.
He's a magician and his name is Majestic?
Well, his name is actually Mojeski. However, Majestic. I don't know if I should be talking about this on air. I feel like I maybe just punctured I gave away some sort of magician's
one of his trick.
That. Yeah.
Tricks, yeah.
One of his trick. He is a magician. He
Sorry,
has a
Ryan.
single trick.
No offense.
No, he's a fantastic magician, actually. Really fascinating. We'll talk about him some other time. However, yes, you're right. We are irrelevant now that we have children. Moving back to the
Thank you
thing.
But that doesn't mean we still don't have our old taste.
We're trying. And can I just say, I don't believe this doesn't mean putting a Velvet Underground t-shirt on your child. To me, you have already failed. If that is your attempt to keep one toe in the cool, then you are done.
That's just advertising.
That is exactly. Like you probably were never that cool to begin with if you do that to your child.
Exactly.
But so what I did this week is, this probably should have gone under my parenting failure. I took my daughter to the Mike Kelly exhibit at the MoCA. Do you know Mike Kelly?
No, he sounds Irish, so I already like him.
He is an LA artist, sort of like one of the quintessential LA artists. I don't know because I wasn't able to read anything because I had my child with me, and this is a completely disturbing exhibit. And as soon as we walked in, she was like, "I want to go home. Don't look at me, kid." He's the guy that on all the lampposts you will see there are pictures of like beat up looking stuffed animals. I don't know if you've noticed this. These are like they're all over the city. There's like
and they're dangling from intersections.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's like one is like a really kind of zitty looking teenager, and then there's like a stuffed animal. My dad actually came out to visit, and he thought that Mike Kelly was running for political office, and he said, "That's a really creepy looking photo." Like, I don't know if I would put that up. And I'm like, but he also thinks apparently that we live in some sort of communist country where you can blanket light post with your picture if you're running for political office. So this is he's like a pretty well known LA artist. The only reason I know of him is because the Sonic Youth album Dirty, which contained, I believe that's the one that contained their only hit, which was, what was their only hit?
The
Dirty Boots. No.
That was the cover of the Carpenter song.
Yeah, no, that was kind of a hit. I forget.
I
forget. This is how. Yeah, I'm already one toe out of the cool. But he designed the stuffed animal pictures that are on every light post in the city are Mike Kelly photographs, and they were the cover art for this Sonic Youth album, Dirty, which I had in the 90s when I was a babe.
It has a banana on it and nothing else.
Yeah, that's the other one. Peel it and see. So I have been wanting to see this exhibit, and I'd heard he does like all this mixed media stuff, and it's all like colorful and fun. And one of my friends took their kid to it, and I texted him beforehand, and I was like, "Is this Mike Kelly exhibit fine?" He's like, "I had to walk my daughter past a couple of the exhibits, but it's pretty good." We walk into this place, and the first thing you hear is screaming, like coming from a video screen somewhere. Look up at the video screen, and there's some hideous witch figure chasing a child through the woods. Like this horrible, like the most awful thing you can ask your daughter to look at. Right there, the minute you walk in. And the entire exhibit, like there was a lot of video stuff, and it all had like that very like David Lynchy sort of sound design. So like no matter where you went in the place, like you'd be walking, and all of a sudden there'd be like, or like
over horrifying room tone. A lizard puppet, breathing its last breath.
Right, like there's some factory somewhere where people are having really degrading sex. That's like just always in the back of your mind. This is happening. And also, like Hazel had seen the pictures of the stuffed animals on the light post, so she wanted to see the stuffed animals. So I took her we went with my sister, or Freud, again, my wife, and her friend who was in town. My sister, my wife and my sister wife, and I went to this exhibit. So we finally get to the stuffed animal room. He'd done like he had a period where he did things like really horrible things to stuffed animals.
You were fine at the bounce house.
I know, exactly. I know. This absolutely was I think that's the problem. Like that fit both categories this week. I didn't know where to go.
Wait a second.
Oh, good job. Well done. Beer number 2. Deuce. So we wandered around this exhibit for like 10 minutes and then got her the fuck out of there. And angrily texted back my friend and was like, fuck you. I'm never relying on your children's advice ever again. He will not be a guest on Dad Jeans because he has terrible advice for fathers.
Well, I don't know. That sounds like it would be a fantastic guest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, actually. Scratch that. He will be our first guest on Dad Jeans. And then afterwards, we took Hazel to sushi for the first time.
Oh.
Which is...
Oh, so you fed her raw animal flesh.
And then, after seeing these dismembered stuffed animals, we thought, what better day to give her raw food. Raw fish. She didn't exactly eat any, but she wasn't, like, throwing it at the sushi chef either. She, like, had a few, she had some edamame, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But as I say that, I remember a time, we like the Breakfast Club time, where she's eating sushi and everyone's like, disgusted. Like, I feel like, I don't know if we have culturally jumped over that hurdle and sushi is just fine now, or do we just live in a very closeted liberal world in which I could say... Yes, I could say, and then we took Hazel to sushi, and your response would be, oh, instead of...
What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very...
Does America
question.
Like sushi?
America
likes hummus.
But America is landlocked for the most part, so it's hard to find good sushi in North Platte, Nebraska.
So you think they just never... Like, that's just... It's a matter of geography?
Classic, us coastal types can have the sushi.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else just has to wonder what sushi's like.
Right.
And probably poo-poo it.
But is there... what's the line between taking your 3-year-old daughter to sushi and putting a Velvet Underground t-shirt on her? Sushi is fine?
Sushi is available.
Yeah.
The Velvet Underground are dead.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Sushi's dead.
Yeah.
But you can eat sushi.
Sushi is to Velvet Underground as
plethora is to cornucopia.
Okay. So they're the same thing. So basically I'm a fucking metrosexual.
You total poser.
Taking my daughter for sushi.
I can't wait to bring my kid to sushi.
Entire nations of people subsist on sushi, right? Like there's nothing...
Yeah.
There's nothing particularly shishi about sushi.
Japan, for one. That's a nation I can think of.
Is that a nation?
Yeah, and they subsist almost entirely on sushi.
I don't think that's I don't really think that. I'll have to challenge that one. I don't believe Japan is a nation, but we'll refer that to the forums.
And next week we'll come back.
Yeah,
and figure that part out.
Discuss.
I think that's a good question. Do we have to? Are we condemnable as we sit here and be effete?
Yeah,
having brought our children to sushi.
Well, to sushi and to like fucking upscale art.
Right, exactly. And I fed Oscar cubes of tofu drenched in sriracha. And
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he ate that shit.
Wow.
And he would, like, eat it, and he'd be like, fight it down, cough, and then, like, wipe his nose, and then eat another one.
Wow.
That kid's a lunatic.
That is amazing. How did you discover that he had a taste for sriracha?
We read some article. We're the victim of the last article we read in our house. But luckily, I think we read all the articles. So far, so good, is all I can say. Like, we didn't read anything by Dr. Sears, that quack.
I thought you were going to say Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, that quack.
Right.
Dr. Seuss has terrible medical advice.
He does. That's true. That's true.
So we read something where it was like, feed him what you eat.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oysters and entire tablespoons full of salt? They're like, sure.
And he does that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's brilliant, and I feel like we attempted to do that in our lives, and that did not work out, and now she eats nothing.
This kid loves bread. I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
Like, this kid loves cheese, and he loves bread.
Ah, come on. He's a human.
Yeah, that's true. But we give him, he doesn't know shit from Shinola.
Right.
But we put, like, a mound of, like, very colorful edamame beans, which my mother-in-law calls edamame with an N.
Aw, that's cute.
Yep. and then we'll put, like, also, like, minty-looking, very refreshing seeming, almost melon-like hearts of celery in a mound over here. And then we'll put, by the way, all of it has to be in mounds, and all of it has to be
like
almost like he can't, like, just out of his reach.
Yeah.
Then he'll eat it.
Wow.
Because he has to fight for it, get it, and eat it.
Wow.
But the thing is, no matter how colorful
Do you give him a little
and interesting,
gun, too, to shoot the...
Oh, he picks off the top thing. Yeah, exactly. He still goes for the bread first. And it can be the most boring looking shit on that table.
Right.
And he'll be like, ooh, and then cheese, whatever is least the emptiest calories possible, he'll have first.
Wow. Well, I'm very impressed that you're able to get him to eat interesting, normal things.
Oh,
I've never heard of a child eating sriracha. That's a next
I couldn't believe my eyes.
Of course, entire nations subsist on sriracha. So
that's true. Vietnam.
I'm again don't know where you learn your geography, but
I did. I don't know if you.
Forum.
This is speaking. Okay, so if I could take a moment of one toe in the cool. What'd you say?
If you're on the forums this week, by the way.
Oh yeah, surf on over. We'll be doing some AMAs
Fire
on the
/ Missy's Kitties
till day.
Right. Sorry, go ahead. Private joke. So it's fun for listeners.
I had a couple toes in the cool.
Yes.
I today asked a coworker
to marry you, to fillet you. Sorry.
Very good guesses. Mm-hmm. I asked how her husband's rock album is selling.
Ooh, is this an act that I would know of?
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Fuck? Do you know the band Fuck?
Oh, they're fantastic.
The name of the album is Aegean.
Okay.
Democracy. No.
Tool.
Unfettered. Tool, that's it. Corn Tool.
Corn Tool Biscuit. Yeah, I love them.
The Presidents of the United States of America.
Uh-huh.
No, it is... Son of a bitch. Republic. Savage Republic. That's who it is.
Yeah, that's a band.
Yeah, that's a band.
I don't know anything about them. I can't disparage that band.
They do very interesting, like, soundscape rock.
Really?
It's pretty cool, yeah.
I would think they would be like a new metal sort of
with
act.
a name like Savage Republic.
That's what I would hear.
They've been around since the 80'S.
Wow.
Yeah. And her husband is in it.
Okay.
And they just came out with an album called Aegean.
And how
named
does
after
it
the
sound?
Aegean Sea. Oh, well, I was like, so how's your... Oh, and this is as cool as I could possibly feel this week.
Yeah.
How's your husband's rock album selling?
Right.
That was as best as I could do. And I did
not
that
bad.
today because I knew I would be here tonight.
You knew someone whose husband was in a rock band.
That is
in a
true.
rock band. And I appreciate you preparing ahead of time for our discussion.
I did. I was standing at the elevator with her. She and I were going to abs class.
Okay.
At the gym.
That's a thing?
We're gym buddies, she and I.
You can do that at work?
Mm-hmm. There's a gym downstairs.
What kind of mat do you work at Google?
I work at, basically.
Yeah. Do they give you Oculus Rift while you work out?
Yes. But I use it to have sex with robots.
Yeah.
I mean, because who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
No, but I do work on one of the lots. One
Uh-huh.
of these studios. One of the big studios. And there's a gym. And sometimes you can be running on a treadmill next to House.
Wow.
Well, that's not true anymore because House is off the air.
Yeah, they kicked him out of the gym as soon as
Yeah,
the show got
his
on.
membership. He showed up the next day
Yeah.
for abs class, which I went to today, but they wouldn't let him do
Who's the coolest person you've ever worked out next to? B. Arthur.
B. Arthur.
Is she still alive?
Yep. Nope. No, we lost her.
I'm
We
sorry.
lost all the Golden Girls.
Let me apologize to the family of B. Arthur. Rue McClanahan?
B. Arthur estate. Rue McClanahan died 3 years ago.
Jesus. Not Betty
Estelle
White.
Getty. Betty White's still with us.
Yes.
Still pumping. Yeah, I know. But that's it.
That was
Wow,
terrible.
that was great.
Yeah.
That means we're using real microphones.
I guess so, yeah. Cardioid, I believe.
Yes, cardiac.
No, who have you seen in the gym?
No one in the gym. They're all just like random yahoos. But
Okay.
here's who I've seen on the lot. The last celebrity I saw on the lot was
Chewbacca.
Was
Amazing.
the guy. So you remember Strange Brew?
Of course.
The guy who wasn't Rick Moranis.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah,
Doug McKenzie, I guess, would be his.
Bob and Doug McKenna.
Oh, God. It's in my head. He was on Arrested Development as well.
Yes, and that must be. They shoot that. That's it. They shoot Arrested Development on the lot, so that must be why I saw him in the cafe.
I think that show was canceled.
Really? Yeah. As of when? There's a billboard for it out front. This stuff happens. It's so cutthroat. It's crazy. It's probably because they don't have enough guns in the key art.
Yeah, that's probably true. I've read your screeds against guns and key art.
I can't take it
Facebook.
anymore.
It's
Why don't they have a
interesting.
gun sticking into vaginas on billboards so our children can see them?
Well, that's been Dad Jeans this week.
There, I said it.
I think that's a good place to end it. I said that makes up for my cunt. You just made up for my cunt. Thank you.
The latest is Planet of the Beginning of the Apes, or whatever the fuck the latest one is.
Yeah.
Which is like some of these billboards have the gun like above the billboard as a die cut like extra thing against
Like
the sky.
they had to go to a lot of extra trouble to get that gun up there.
Yeah, to like die cut out this M16 that he's hoisting aloft on a horse below the Bay Bridge.
Wow.
Because life isn't awesome enough. We need to see these boxes that when you squeeze the right button, kill someone
Yeah.
that you're standing next to.
Well, media doesn't have any effect on people's behavior. Come on.
That's true. You
The
know,
guy who dressed up as Batman and murdered a bunch of people in the movie theater.
Exactly.
Did he dress up? No, he dressed up as a Joker.
Did he? And he dyed his hair.
Yeah.
And there are those conspiracy theories where he says, like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, of course not. You get into a movie, you're excited. He was pumped up. He had his guns.
The guns. Melt all the guns
Yeah.
into plows.
I was just thinking about that. I was talking to we had a friend here in town who was I think we're probably blowing past our time periods, but just another digression if we may.
Oh, of course.
We had a friend in town who works for the State Department, and that was the sound of Brendan's ass, by the way, being brushed by the microphone.
We have 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. Oh, perfect. Then I'll go really quickly. We had a friend in town from the State Department, and her husband has done a lot of work with Syria. We were just talking about the issue, the whole mess in Syria, and how we have this very, not in Syria necessarily, but in Iraq, we have this very American view of what a country is, and Iraq is not a country that anyone ever wanted to be a country. You know, it's just...
Oh, it's carved up after World War II by the
Yes.
British guy,
Yes.
the cartographer.
Yeah, it was just like slapped together. And so there's no... You don't... in Syria, like Assad is not bombing his own people. He's bombing people who happen to live in a country that he's the dictator of, that he hates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that
Because
kind of
it's
thing.
all sectarian.
Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking, if we were to ever have some sort of like government, breakdown here, like who would be the people on the front lines fighting? It would be the Michigan militia. It would be the Texas crazies.
The Chainsaw Massacrers.
Yeah, the John Wayne Gacy's would get in line. No, just like the Al Calvin Bundy or whatever his name is, who's like the fucking gun nuts.
Yeah.
They would be the people. They've been stockpiling the guns. They're going to go out and fight for us.
Preppers.
But I don't want that country. I don't want their country.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's like, what? I mean, as metrosexuals, Brendan, what are we to do when the revolution comes?
Farm as hard as we can.
Oh, I know of a great farm, actually, northwest of here.
Do they have a bounce house?
As a matter of fact, they do, my friend.
I hate it when kids look at me, though.
This is a perfect place for you.
Oh, good. As
All
long
right.
as it's a place.
Viva la revolution!
Have the water, have the protein.
Yeah.
Don't have the guns.
Is that your advice as a father?
Yeah, in the post-apocalypse, yes.
Okay. All right. That was our final segment. We were going to give our fatherly advice for the week.
Oh, what have we learned this week, everybody?
What
Our fatherly advice. Now, the question is, since this is a new segment, as we sign off...
They're all new segments.
That's a good point.
Let me just be clear. This is our first podcast.
Are we advising fathers, or are we advising everyone?
You're advising me.
Oh, and you'll advise me, I assume.
I may be.
Okay.
I'm going to advise everyone. You just advise me. I need more help.
And I also...
No, I'm kidding. I think I think whatever we have learned this week that could be helpful to the people out there who maybe have a child a day younger than our child.
I know, we have a lot to bestow. Okay, I would say that I learned this week that I have to brace myself. That my child will someday be an asshole.
Yes.
And
you just learned that tonight. That was the most important lesson of the week for you.
Here's the thing. Yeah. That kid... Okay, in 1983, I was so into Michael Jackson, I could have built a Michael Jackson statue out of the vomit I would spew every time his name was said because I loved him so much.
Wow. Along with the puffy nipples, that's really painting a attractive picture of you as a child.
You get to speak in images in these podcasts.
Okay.
So I fucking love Michael Jackson in 1983 because that was when Beat It came out. No, Thriller. When Thriller came out.
Sure.
So being at work, this kid is like Michael. It's like Michael Jackson is at my house, but I'm at work.
Oh.
And I'm like, I have to go home because Michael Jackson's at my house.
Oh my God, I can't wait for you to get over that.
That's how I feel. And then I walk in the door and I'm completely starstruck by him and I just want him to like me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so I can't wait for him to be an asshole because this is exhausting.
Yes, no, that will okay. I shouldn't say that will go away because I still am so excited to see my daughter every day. However, it wears off very quickly. Within the first couple of minutes.
And it doesn't feel like... At first, I'd imagine it feels a little sacrilegious. And then after a while, you're like...
To not worship your child?
Yeah.
It did, yeah, I could say that. But now I feel like it's much healthier where I'm at with it.
Uh-huh.
You know, where I need to be an adult, and I'm like, okay, it is okay to need to be an adult sometimes.
Right, and this is business.
And not in child world, yes.
And for the love of God, eat your sushi.
Yes, my God.
Do you know how much that costs? Eat... the yellowtail.
Eat that fucking... And it was one of the conveyor belt places.
Oh,
so she's
yeah.
just...
Oh, God. So she's taking the pink plates that cost $9.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The row thing. You know, the fucking fish roll that I know she's not going to
I know. She just likes the colors.
Yeah. It's
Those
orange.
conveyor belts are
It looks
genius.
cute. It's not candy.
It's the opposite of candy.
Yeah. Well, what have I learned this week? I have learned that I should not try to force modern art upon my daughter. Maybe a little bit too young for that. Maybe we all are.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I felt a little too young for it, personally. I was a little scandalized.
Well, modernism comes from the 1890s, so that means that it's 125 years old.
How is that modern?
Exactly. Okay. Yet it's true.
But then there's postmodern. But then there's
1950s.
Postmodern.
That's 1970s.
Is that a real thing? Postmodern.
It is.
That just
and
feels
guess where
like
we are now?
Self-referential.
Everything.
Oh, post everything. It's just not. You can't keep posting it. You can't keep going with that.
I know. And once you say modern,
it's
what
like
else is there about the
capitalism. It comes to a point.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that's where we're at with the whole normcore. You know about this?
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I've been dressing normcore my entire fucking life.
Exactly.
And finally the rest of the world caught up.
Exactly. You wore the dad jeans before they were cool.
Oh, before they were... Are you kidding? 3630. The lighter, the better.
Wow.
Oh, God, what was I doing?
That's a big gene. That's a big
Stovepipes.
That's the gene that I will find at every time I go to the thrift store. I will find the 3630 just like sitting there unloved.
Probably my old ones, which cost
Possibly.
Oscar a year of his life. Oscar would be 1 year older at least if I had been wearing 3230s to the party I met Emily at.
Or not cinching them
Or not
as
cinching
tightly
them,
as
exactly.
you had.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like on that note, do we feel good?
I feel great.
I feel great. I'm ready to take on the world.
Me too.
I'm ready to go shoot some squirrels.
You want to shoot squirrels?
Let's shoot squirrels.
We're gonna go shoot squirrels.
Okay.
This has been Dad Jeans.
Dad Jeans. Outro music.
I'm gonna beatbox in 7/8.
Yes. Amazing.
Thank you. I think that was 5/4. But in any case.
Whatever. Good night.
Dad